Hey guys, today we're in the book of First Chronicles chapter 20. Now this is a short chapter that covers a lot of time, even though it's a little chapter. We see in the spring of the year when it's time for the kings to go out to battle, Joab led the army out, but David remained in Jerusalem. So when it says it's time for when kings go out, kings would not battle in the winter months. Nobody wants that. It's uncomfortable. It's hard. A lot of people die, not because of war, but because of weather, floods, things of that nature. So most of the time it was in the spring when there was spring in Israel is the beginning of the dry season. It's just much easier during that time. You didn't want your soldiers dying because of weather and not because of war. So when it becomes spring, they go out. And then we see this famous line that says, as Joab led the army out, David remained in Jerusalem. And that we know what happened. David should have been with his army. David should have been going out against the Amorites, but no, he stays behind. And in just one verse, it says, David remained in Jerusalem and Joab struck down Rabbah and overthrew it. There's a lot of time, a lot of years are in between that sentence. And this is where we have Bathsheba and Uriah and all of these things. If you remember all the way back in 2 Samuel chapter 12, Joab had all but beaten Rabbah, and he calls for David to come out and kind of give the final blow, right? And so this was kind of the end after Bathsheba, all of this, and this was kind of like the restoration time of David, where everything is bad, but now he's going to become good. And so there's a lot of time in here, but once again, the chronicler is not about historical every minute thing of history, where he's covering David to get to the new David, right? And so he kind of jumps over the bad years of David is really what happens. And then goes down to Rabbah. He wins Rabbah, and it talks about that he gets a crown, and brings back the spoil of his city, a very great amount. This is important because why? Because his son Solomon will need this great amount to build the temple, right? And so as we've been reading through these stories, you see that the chronicler is always talking about the gold, the silver, the bronze, because that is crucial to the building of the temple that will come later as the chronicler writes about it. And not only that, but we see in verse 4 through 8 is this kind of talking about these Philistines, about these giants, right? Remember the Philistines, though he's defeated them and some of the cities, and he has expanded the borders, but now he has to come back and kind of do the final blow, if you will, right, against these Philistines. But what's important here is that it says that after this, there arose a war with the Philistines at Gezer. And then we see these three guys. We see Sibekah, we see Elian, and Jonathan. Three guys who go against the Philistines, against the giants. And what's interesting here is though David was known as the giant killer, now there are other men who stand up and go against these Philistines, against these giants, right? We see that they're struck down the brother of Goliath, and we see all of these stories of just these were descendants from the giants in Gath in verse 8 that fell by the hand of David and the hand of his servants. And so here it's kind of what started David, right, which was the killing of Goliath from Gath. And now, towards the end, is the destruction of either Goliath's family, brothers, or Goliath's kids. We're not for sure exactly how, but it's kind of the started and ended, right? So you kind of have this beginning and this end of these Philistines. And so, once again, we don't learn much about the new David in this, but what we do learn is the chroniclers getting us from one stage of David's life to the next stage to teach us a little bit more about this new David. So I hope that makes sense. It's a short chapter, but we'll see you tomorrow in chapter 21. God bless.